Hey guys, so this is going to be my last entry before I take off on a plane. And yeah, we had a great time, had some good conversation and some laughs, talked a lot about the show and innovation and things like that.
Each year, CES has a theme, and this year's theme is human security. So we've been coming to CES since the inception of Hatch Duo for about 5 years, even during the pandemic, when CES was digital, and even after the pandemic, post-pandemic, when CES was hybrid. My overall impression, well, first of all, I'm exhausted. So before you come to CES, you have to mentally and physically prepare, I think, for a lot of walking. And I think some planning needs to be done because otherwise, it's like a dog chasing a squirrel. You get attracted by shiny new objects.
Yeah, so that was, obviously that was a lot to see and just to take in and immerse myself in a short matter of time.
It was cool to just be around real people again and exhibits like CES feeling full force based on my previous years having gone pre-pandemic. It was a little underwhelming for me because maybe there's just a little bit less people, or some of the main exhibit halls in the convention center were a little bit smaller than what I was used to seeing. One thing we did talk about with Inc. 2 that they noticed was that this year was an interesting year for CES. It didn't feel like some of the last ones. Like it did and it didn't. Part of that maybe we were thinking because a lot of businesses are tightening up and recognizing that we are in a recession, or we're financially headed towards a more uncertain times. And it was interesting to just see.
My overall impression, I honestly didn't see a whole lot of new tech. Of course, I saw a lot of technology and products kind of just in my face, of course. But overall, it didn't seem like things I hadn't really seen before, with an exception of a few things, but maybe a handful of things at most. That I hadn't seen from the previous year. Based on this year's experience, if I were to forecast the future of tech, I guess I saw a lot of big name companies making a race to
sustainability. I've seen products that have been repurposed, plastics that have been recycled from used fishing nets. Normally they have a lifespan of 1 to 2 years in the fishing industry. Seeing companies like Latte Chemical, they are repurposing and upcycling those plastics and using them in consumer electronics, namely phone cases. The second thing I witnessed firsthand is 3D video experience without the use of 3D glasses. A company called TCL has a 3D television. It does not require 3D glasses and allows you to view from a wide angle. And then secondly, Sony had a display. You're able to view different sorts of media, a soccer game, animations of video games, even industrial design and 3D CAD models, all visible without the use of glass. The prediction I made maybe a year or two ago is EVs, but amphibious EVs. And this year, 2023 CES, we saw an 100% electric hydrofoil from a company called Candela. Okay, so based on my observations, what I'm noticing is a trend of AI machine learning, robotics, AR mixed reality glasses, AR mixed reality technologies, and metaverse and meta. And so at some point, the future of tech, I foresee the convergence of 2 or more of those categories.
Some takeaways. It seemed that there was a lot of focus on sustainability in materials and how we are thinking about the planet and manufacturing methods. Autonomous vehicle, obviously it's nothing new, but just seeing it start to become more and more developed. I think like Hyundai was showing a 360-degree crab walking, autonomous city car. Obviously I went to school with a lot of transportation designers, and so that's probably nothing new to them, but it's cool that it's starting to become more and more reality for us. A key takeaway just seems to be a focus on sustainability in materials. Do I see any opportunities for industrial design technology? Yes, I do. Mike and I, when we're exploring the Sony exhibit specifically, we saw a lot of glasses-less 3D display technology. So it's spatial, meaning when you stand in front of the screen and depending on how you move, you can actually see around the 3D model. You can obviously imagine some use cases with ID, with using CAD or sketching over something. Maybe you're getting a CAD model sent and then you get to like look at it in all different directions but on a flat screen. CMF technology. Samsung had a foldable phone, but it won like an award because they're using recycled fishnets. Probably the percentage of plastic in there is still pretty high, but you know, thinking of things that are ultimately tossed into landfill or the ocean over and over again, thinking of how to like upcycle those CMF wise, I think that would be wise for industrial designers to take a look at. We as designers do have to be more conscientious about the materials we are selecting and the processes we are selecting for the products we design. I think that seems to be certain now. Like the big companies are starting to think about it, and so that's obviously going to permeate across all of industry. Having come to CES several times now, it's not so much the excitement of like what's new. You know, obviously there's a e-ink car, and we've seen that before too, and we've seen it again. It's not so much seeing it for the first time, but then, you know, each year after that, how is that new fresh technology then actually utilized and applied? So things like AI and robotics, each year gets more and more mature and the technology becomes more and more utilized. Necessarily always being first to market, it's knowing how to apply it well. What was being put out there during this time to see where business and where design, consumer electronics was possibly going to go. So I think that was the main takeaway, is that even though we were a little underwhelmed with a lot of what we were hoping to see, still grateful that we were able to get a glimpse of, okay, like what are all these companies thinking in the next couple of years or so. We took a lot of observations for that, and we're going to make note and bring that back to our teams.
As industry leaders, it's important for us to stay in the know and watch as these exciting technologies and innovations unveil.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit here. It's just, you know, the CES exhaustion's kicking in. So with that, thank you again for joining me, especially on the CES journey, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for other great content. And other than that, I'll see you all later. Bye. Let's hatch awesome.